Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. This is Dr. Cadwell. We're recording as always, and I actually wanted to just stay on. Last week we talked about why you want to read in labels and ingredients and of not only personal care products but obviously foods and drinks. As you start to move in this journey of reclaiming your health and obviously a healthy weight or a weight that you desire in terms of it aligning with health. And one of the big messages that we're trying to get people to understand is the importance of what you're putting in and on your body. So last week we sort of talked about some of these things that are in commonly put in personal care products. And I had some questions over the week about artificial sweeteners and why they weren't good and all that sort of stuff. So I thought, let's go ahead and have that discussion again a little bit. I've talked about it in the past, but the reality is, and I sort of ended this last week on our call, was, avoid synthetic products, or synthetic ingredients. Things that are synthetic are basically, they're fake. They're not real, and what that means is they're chemicals, they're unnatural, and they're certainly going to be unrecognizable by your body. And that's pretty much all you need to know in terms of synthetic chemicals. And there's a plethora of them that we're, that people are attempting, if you will, to expose us to on a daily basis. But the more that you become conscious of this, the more you can be strategic as it relates to what you purchase and what you decide to put on your body or in your body. So one of these big things, and one of the most common things that's added to foods and drinks and gums and things like that you need to be hyper aware of and hypersensitive to, in my opinion, are definitely artificial sweeteners. And really the most popular artificial sweetener that's used is aspartame, and it's used in low calorie, and low carbohydrate, sugar-free products primarily. Okay, and that's why we tell people don't ever eat something that's low fat, diet that says diet on it, that sort of thing ever again. I mean, it's usually going to have stuff in there that's going to be disruptive to your body and this healthy body that you want to create. So when you understand in terms of the history of aspartame, it was approved back in 1981 actually for use in dry foods, and then it was added to carbonated sodas in 1983. And then really just kind of given an overall approval for general purposes in 1996. And so why do you need to be conscious of it? Well, it's used as a sweetener and a flavor enhancer in over 6,000 different types of foods worldwide. That's why it's important to know what you're putting into your body, okay? And the really sort of staggering thing is the annual amount of aspartame that we drink in the United States in terms of diet soda alone is 4,500 tons. 4,500 tons of aspartame are consumed in this country. And this information is a few years old, by the way, so it's probably even more at this point. I hope I'm wrong, and I feel like there is a shift that's going on in terms of people are beginning to recognize that, our best medicine is our food. It's the things that we decide to put into our mouths, chew on, and swallow that ultimately can be our greatest savior. And supplementation needs to be live source and whole food as well, without the added excipients and binders and flowing agents and fillers and all that sort of stuff that you don't want to consume, just as a side note, which, by the way, anything that you get from us, our office, is going to be live source and whole food. So you can bet that you're going to get good quality stuff. So anyway, that's another conversation. But this whole idea of aspartame and being conscientious of it, and just artificial sweeteners in general, because I'm going to talk a little bit about Splenda as well, because Splenda kind of flew onto the scene a few years ago, and it was touted as being this natural. It comes from sugar, so it's natural, and blah blah, all this stuff that is very coy marketing. And that gets people to believe that it's safe. And I really hate to say it, but unfortunately, even when you think about the Food and Drug Administration, they're not necessarily in this to protect you, and there's a lot of information that would dictate that as a fact. So I always encourage people, number one, these calls in my radio show, Strategic Living, yes, they're about how do we get the most out of the NutriMost program and how can we help people to really begin to adopt really a lifestyle that is NutriMost, because that's basically what it is. We're teaching you a new lifestyle as we rebalance your body and reset things. And the great thing about it is it's a totally, sustainable lifestyle. As a matter of fact, it's a very easy lifestyle to live as you start to gain this knowledge and you start to, experience a body that is getting balanced and functioning at a high level. And it's, most people don't ever want to go back to feeling the way that they were feeling. So, and so in that regard, understanding that some of these products that maybe you used in the past or that were touted even by federal agencies, regulatory agencies like the FDA, because the FDA actually still claims that artificial sweeteners are safe, in the amounts that are typically consumed by most people. And, and that's just, to me it's asinine because there's too much literature and too much research that basically tells us otherwise. And the reality is that, once again, just go back to the simple concept that if it ain't real, you probably shouldn't put it in your body. It's not going to be identifiable by the body. It's been chemically manipulated. That's why partially hydrogenated fats have become so problematic. Processed oils have become so problematic. Margarine is a major problem. Fats don't cause people to be fat. Bad fats can create major problems. Good, healthy fats are vital to our body and our body's function. Good fats are vital to our body's ability to produce hormones, our body's ability to maintain good cognitive function, brain function, our body's ability to maintain good nerve health, So all of these things are really important. And so when you start manipulating oils to turn them into solids and you start flipping, hydrogens on a carbon chain to make that oil become a solid, that starts to create problems. And as a matter of fact, it starts to create a lot of really bad things in the body, and that's something that basically we've seen occur over time. And one thing that I've said a lot on my radio show, and it's absolutely true, and once again, I don't ever tell anybody to stop drugs. That's not my job, nor is it our job as an organization to do that. It's to bring to light the potential damage that the long-term utilization of synthetic drugs can do to a person. Can there be short-term benefit to utilizing drugs for people? Absolutely. But the reality is that 99% of the people, 99% plus that are taking drugs really they wouldn't really need them if they got the real problem solved. Are there drugs that people, a very small percentage of people in this world that are using that are preserving their life? Yes, absolutely. So there's a place for it. But, when you're right now in a state where the epidemic is overutilization of drugs, and we're as sick as we've ever been, we're as overweight as we've ever been, there's more diabetes than there's ever been, there's Alzheimer's is skyrocketing, people are falling over from heart attacks left and right and strokes and all this stuff, yet we're consuming more drugs than any other country in the world. And one of the more common drugs we consume right now are statin drugs, yet we still continue to have all these heart problems and strokes and